Hey, don't worry, the compressor giveaway is not time sensitive, so kick back and relax and watch the video and we'll talk about the compressor along the way. Time for that to go. So if you watched the first van video, you know that I put a bench seat in just after I got the van, and I did these window covers right after that, and then I hit the pause button on the van. Everything else you'll see in this video I've done in the last month. I'm using magnets to attach the template to the door frame while I'm working with it, and I needed to extend the template's length just a little bit, so I added some masking tape to the front and back side of the template. I'm using a double layer of Reflectix to make the window covers, and this is an effort to save material, which is wrong. Don't do that. I had to remake that window cover because I had the orientation of the Reflectix wrong. Vertical is vertical on the rows, so this window cover is the correct orientation, otherwise the Reflectix wants to roll up on you. I'm using aluminum foil tape to put the two layers of Reflectix together and then applying magnets to that. I used 10 12mm by 3mm magnets to hold each window cover in place. I did some testing to determine if the magnet pull was correct. Of course, in your application, you could change the size or amount of magnets. Hey, no light leaks. I'm not very good with a needle and thread, so at this point, I turn the making duties over to my wife. This is just normal everyday fabric, nothing special about it, and I'm sure it's going to degrade in the sun over time, but hey, that gives us a chance to change it up a bit.
What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing?
The rear windows are two different sizes, but at the center jamb they're the same radius, so I was able to save a little bit of work and just flip that template over. The magnets are holding good even with a door slam, and I think the window covers turned out great. I like the way they look, and they really help with the sun a lot. I made two sets of covers for the front doors out of a single layer of Reflectix. The half ones turned out really well, and I can actually use it going down the highway. Obviously, using it in the city wouldn't be very smart, but it really helps out on a sunny westbound day. And I pushed the easy button on the front windshield screen. Thanks to Lance and Patrick over at Active Atom for sending me their channel sticker, and I hope you guys like how I recycled your envelope. Time for a little ventilation. Nothing like cutting a hole in a brand new van. So that space between the ribs and the back just happens to be 14 by 14, which is exactly the industry standard size for RV fans. I'm using a 5/8 drill bit, which is very close to the radius of the fan mount bracket, and just eyeballing my layout marks and punch marking the hole locations. This task is actually better suited for a hole saw, but I don't have any that size. I'm just using what I have, and I'm pre-drilling that mark with an 1/8 inch drill bit first so that I don't walk off. Since I have the holes pre-drilled, I could drill these holes from the top, but I'm doing it from the inside so I can make sure that I'm not getting into the roof ribs, because it is a very tight fit. It's exactly 14 inches to the roof ribs front to back. I put masking tape on the roof and the jigsaw to keep from marring the paint, and I went a little bit shy on the dimensions so that I'd have enough to go back and clean up with the die grinder, as I knew I wouldn't get a perfectly straight cut with the jigsaw anyways, and that gives me a good tight fit to the fan mount, which is good sealing. It's been raining off and on for the last 3 days, and one of those days we got 6 inches in one day, so I'm happy to report that there's absolutely no water leaks. I used an 1/8 inch piece of aluminum to fill this small gap between the roof rib and the fan mount on the left and right side. You can see it here, and it happens to be exactly 1/8 of an inch. I used machine screws with self-locking nuts to mount the fan mount bracket, and stole the rubber washers off of these roofing screws I had, and I used some 3M Marine 4000 adhesive to seal it up. I have the fan temporarily wired to the 12 volt 20 amp cigarette lighter socket that's in the back of the van, and you can see that there is a gap between the roof rib and the roof sheet metal. It's really important to get that gap filled in. I have some plastic and a piece of oak. You can see that there's some different dimensions there. The point being is you need to fill that gap so that there's no distortion whenever you tighten your screws down, because distortion equals water leaks. I ordered the best onboard air compressor that ARB makes. Amazon sent me the wrong air compressor by mistake, and whenever I contacted them about it, they, much to my surprise, said, "Keep it, we'll send you the one you ordered." There is a cableway for the wiring harness at the top left side of the van, and it's not really a cableway, it's more like a cover, but I want to make it flat like the right side is so that it's easy to work with. And here it is, and I don't know what Ford was thinking when they did that, but anyways, I'm going to get rid of it and run the wiring harness inside the wall. The harness to the back of the van is continuous, and it doesn't have any connectors anywhere for some reason where you can disconnect it and reroute it. So anyways, you have to start from that point under the airbag cover here and pull out the tail lights and the cover on the right side, and yeah, so pull everything out and reroute it through the inside, and there is a gap right at this point where you can fish it through, and It was a little bit of a challenge, but I didn't have to cut anything. And for those of you that are worried about the temperature, all wiring that's automotive is rated for 80 degrees C, so you can see there the temperature is acceptable, and it was long enough that I didn't have to extend anything. It just went right back to where it was supposed to go. I used foam pipe insulation around the wiring harness, and as well I put Thinsulate and Reflectix on the outside of that on the sheet metal side. Here I'm making a cover panel for the upper rear door jamb area, and this will make more sense in the next video. I'm not going to get too deep into this, but I will say that it's a little bit long and I may modify that, but I actually need that right now to be able to locate it properly, because there's some 6mm nutserts that are already in the van body right there. I have this nutsert tool and it's super handy if you're in an open clear space, but not so good if you're in a tight confined space. I got these 3/8/16 nutserts in an auction lot some years ago, and they came with an install tool but only one mandrel. This type of install tool usually only comes in one size, but I'm gonna save myself a few bucks because they are quite expensive. I just took 2 bolts and machined them on the lathe and welded it together and made a mandrel that's 1/4 because that's most of what I'm going to use on the van. I will use 3/8 for some, but it worked out pretty well. Fits nicely in a tight corner like that, and I could make a bushing for the end of it there, but I found that if I just put a flat washer on the end, that's good enough. I'm going to get more into these roof ribs in the next video as well, but it is hard to take a measurement on a curve like that with a tape, so just taking a piece of string and making some marks with a Sharpie makes life easy. And I made a set of points up here so that I could mark my roof rib board for the hole locations, and again I'll cover that more in detail in the next video. At this point I have most of the van insulated with 3M Thinsulate and Reflectix on the factory black panels there, and those panels are pretty cool. They're plastic, but they're honeycomb and they have an air gap. They don't get hot, believe it or not, even without Reflectix on them. Alright, so if you've made it to this point, you must want a free air compressor. So here's the deal. Alright, Amazon's generosity is your gain. It would be very easy for me to just sell this online and defray my costs, but hey, that wouldn't be any fun. I want to give it to somebody who needs it or wants it to do something with. So leave a comment below. Tell me what kind of vehicle you've got. Tell me what you want to use it for, whether it be airing up your tires or soccer balls or rafts or whatever it is you want to put air in. Tell me about that. And obviously I want to give it away to someone that's going to use it, not just sell it. It's 12 volt, so that means it works anywhere in the world. So why not make it available for everyone? I will say that if you are international, you are responsible for customs duties, and we'll have to work out something on the shipping. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Good luck, and hey, thanks for watching. And yes, it does work, and we'll get more into what's going on under the driver's seat next time.